Hey, it's just JP here, and a few days ago I watched the new Marvel TV series, WandaVision, and I must say I'm impressed. And I'm not the only one. I'm impressed how the producers managed to create an illusion, and one by one tear it down. I'm today not talking about the story, but more about the cinematography, the techniques and hidden details they used to convey their point. I want to focus on the first 2 episodes, so spoilers ahead. Let's get started with the video. How to create an illusion.
Illusion.
Yeah, what she said.
First, let's start with the term immersion. You need to immerse your audience. You need to make them believe in what you just created. Just showing characters alone won't create the illusion. You need to frame your scene, make something that holds the painting in place. In WandaVision, the audience is immersed into a storyline that takes place after the events of Avengers Endgame. We would imagine a direct explanation of the aftermath. Yet, the first episode starts differently. We don't get what we were expecting. Rather, we are immersed in a type of alternate reality, where everything looks like a 50s sitcom. But we just said that showing characters alone won't sell the illusion. This episode, however, makes an exception to the rule. I now tell you how they've done it. The copy-paste method. Most of the times, the copy-paste method is seen as something lazy, and something you want to avoid. But in order to create an illusion, you first need to immerse your audience. This immersion can be achieved through recreation of a certain period of the past. Here in WandaVision, Disney looked at few of the old school sitcoms. If we note them down one by one, you will see what I mean.
We are kind of recreating a whole era of television and trying to do it with this authenticity.
For the first episode, it's the start of the sitcom land. It's to an audience, and we filmed it in front of a live audience.
It was nerve-wracking, but I think it was so rewarding and so funny.
What a charming door knocker.
And cut!
They recreated this 50s and 60s sitcom feeling with using costumes from that era, creating the feeling that we just hopped out of a time machine. They really made an extra effort and recreated some of the most iconic shows. We could make an entire video about this, but I think this scene shows you how far they went. By the way, what you just saw was the intro for a 1960s sitcom, Bewitched. I find this attention to detail a great addition. But enough about the copy-paste technique. Let's go now over the editing and cinematography. This point builds upon the one before. One of the things I enjoyed the most is that the producers not only created an illusion of a certain period of American sitcom cinema, but managed to use those same techniques to further strengthen that illusion. The opening jingle and the first driving scene is a great little hidden detail that you could easily miss. Back then, they used projectors on a set to create the illusion that the car is driving, even though they filmed it in a studio. This technique was recreated brilliantly, with the use of a static camera that is centered onto the front of the car, and the green screen in the back. Mark Bone did a great video how he faked the car scene. Worth watching. Here are a few more examples. The second one would be that they used revision. By reversing a clip of a falling dish, it appears like the dish is magically restored. Third one, while Wanda is cooking, they make it look like the dishes were attached to ropes, therefore flying. Fourth one, they used jump cuts to make things appear and disappear, like for example in those 2 scenes, her wedding rings, and later on by replacing the chicken back to an egg. The producers really use more practical effects instead of VFX and try to mimic their predecessors. They intentionally created an illusion of a 50s sitcom. The editing process is where everything comes together and the real magic happens. In WandaVision, they intentionally recreated the technical imperfections from over 60 years ago. Starting with the basics, they first used an aspect ratio of 4:3 and the grain overlay. The grain overlay has a simple purpose. They unsharpen the image to make it more look like a television program from the 50s. Then, in the second episode, they increase the sharpness in the scenes, making one small change at a time. In a nutshell, the producers edited their footage, not like a sitcom from the 21st century, but one from the last. And in doing so, recreated a lot of technical imperfections. My conclusion so far? Through the copy-paste method of the old-school sitcoms, the cinematography and editing, Disney successfully recreated an illusion of that time period and immersed us into the storyline of WandaVision. We just talked about how to create an illusion. Let's now investigate how to destroy it. All the way through the first and second episode, we have a thought in the back of our minds. This can't be real. Why are two of the most powerful Avengers staring together in a sitcom? Isn't one of them even dead? How is this possible? The producers used that thought and developed it into illusion breakers. Scenes and moments that destroy the illusion that was previously created. Let's start with the first illusion breaker, the camera movement. I already talked about the fake car scenes. Now let's look at the camera itself. Sometimes the camera is treated like another actor in the movie. Like for example here in La La Land, where the camera moves in certain scenes very fast, creating the impression of being another character in the story. Therefore another addition and another perspective.
And I think why La La Land was such an extraordinary thing is because it took the approach of realizing the camera was another character in the scene. And that's actually how Damien introduced me. Like when I met Em and Ryan, he was like, this is Arri, he's going to be the other actor in these scenes. And that thought and that thinking as a camera is that, yeah, you're as much a part of it. You need to know when the character is going to look sideways, when they're going to say that line, when that character, I mean, every part of it, you're just as involved in that process, except you're the one who's completely invisible.
Well, something similar happened here, but it is way more subtle than this. Let me explain. Most of the time, through the first and second episode, the camera is steadily panning with the characters, walking in and out of the set, giving us the illusion that this is actually an old-school sitcom. We get used to it, but by the end of the first episode, something interesting happens.
Stop it! 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 Stop it!
The camera is now zooming in and doing close-up shots, while most of the episode was shot with a wide-angle lens that is commonly used for sitcoms in order to establish the set our protagonists are living in. Those close-ups are breaking the illusion that was just created. The second episode is similarly structured, with the wide-angle lens being most frequently used, until this scene.
Who is that? Who are you?
Wanda. Who's doing this to you, Wanda? Wanda. What?
Did you spot it? It's pretty obvious. The camera emphasizes and strengthens the emotion of Wanda, as she discovers that this reality is maybe not the real one. Okay, easily explained, this slight rotation, paired with the continuous zoom, creates tension. Because we are already familiar with the close-up shots from the episode before, this scene wouldn't have such an effect as it does with the slight rotation. When the camera is rotating, it usually hints at something being abnormal or surreal. Another illusion-breaking scene is the one with the beekeeper. Wanda purposefully uses her powers to rewind and therefore keeps the illusion alive. We just talked about the camera movement. Now, let's investigate how the writers intentionally inserted a stylistic device into the storyline and why it is so important. The stylistic device I'm talking about is the red color. The red color is a clear stylistic device that I may interpret as emotion. The red helicopter with the sword logo, the beeping toaster that reminds her of the childhood trauma created by a Stark bomb, and lastly, the death of her lover. A figurative red flag in an indistinct grey world. In the end, the filmmakers really did their homework and immersed us into an illusion of an old-school sitcom through the copy-paste method, cinematography, and lastly, the editing. Just to tear it down a few moments later, with the use of cleverly chosen illusion breakers. Without the illusion breakers, WandaVision would be just a compilation of sitcom history. But the different use of camera movement and stylistic devices make a difference and suggest that Wanda is living an illusion. But she is not the only one who got tricked. We were expecting Thanos, Dormammu, Ego or Mysterio, but we get thrown into an Avengers sitcom. This reminds me a lot of The Truman Show, but with the difference that this time not only one person is living an illusion, but the whole town. Interesting, isn't it? That's it with the video. I'm very interested how the story of WandaVision will evolve over time. Please leave a comment and your opinion about the new Marvel TV series. These videos take a while, so if you enjoyed this, a sub to the channel would be just amazing. Thanks for watching and see you next time.